welcome to the world's greatest Christmas pageant 2023. And so without further ado, take it away.
Long ago, God came. Stop, Mary, he called. Stop, Joseph. Stop, angel, shepherd. Stop, wise men. It's Christmas Eve. Stop and make room for a child. They did, and Jesus came. This very evening, God came. We heard God call. Stop. Lay aside your wrapping paper, your bows. Postpone your sleep. It's Christmas Eve. Stop and make room for a child. We did, and here we are. We have to come to this holy place to find the child. Not so very long ago, I called the children of St. John's. Stop. I said, pretend you were there when baby Jesus was born. Tell me about it. With stars in their eyes and visions in their heads. They did, and I wrote down every word they said. Tonight, these very words of our children will lead us to Bethlehem, to the cradle of our King. Christmas really happened a long time ago, a long, long time ago, before any of us were born, like millions of years ago. It all happened in the Bible. It was a miracle, something that never ever happened before, something very, very special that we don't understand at all.
It all began with Mary. Mary was a really pretty lady. Her hair was brown, almost black, like mine, and about this straight too.
At this moment, Mary is sitting on her little stool, sewing and quietly whistling. Suddenly she looks up. A very bright light appears before her. It's an angel, a large angel, bigger than a person, a very pretty angel, and wonderfully shiny. It has wings as tall as me. And it came about 3 feet from Mary. At first, Mary was frightened half to death, but she wasn't too scared. She knew that this angel lives in heaven. Then Gabriel spoke.
Mary, you're going to have a little baby, really small and very special. It will be a boy baby. And you will name him Jesus because he will grow up special. He will help people and clean their feet. He will help a lame man walk.
Mary was very surprised. She didn't know she was to have a child. It was hard for her to believe, but she was very, very happy. So happy was she that she couldn't wait to tell somebody. She jumped up and ran out the door to tell the first person she could find. That was her neighbor, Elizabeth.
Mary didn't even knock. She just ran right in. Elizabeth, she called. Guess what? I'm going to have a baby. It's Jesus. At first, Elizabeth just sat there. She was stunned and surprised. How do you know? She asked. Mary said. An angel said so. Now Elizabeth is so happy. Oh my, she said. May I hold him when he's born? Mary was so happy with God, she sang a song to him. Her song went like this. Now Mary couldn't wait to see Joseph. She had to tell him too.
Joseph was a carpenter. He cut wood and hammered it together. Before that, he was a shepherd. Joseph is tall. His face has a tannish color. Joseph likes church. That's why God chose him to be Jesus' father.
Joseph, we're going to have a baby. It's Jesus.
Joseph loved Mary. He was a happy man. In a little while, Joseph and Mary had to go on a trip to Bethlehem. They were going there to be counted. It was far, almost 100 miles. It took almost 2 weeks to get there.
They had to ride on a donkey because they had nothing else unless they wanted to walk. Joseph was kind. Instead of him riding on the donkey, he let Mary ride. It was a bumpy ride because the road was hilly and rocky, and because the donkey walks only one leg at a time. Mary became very, very tired and almost sick. She hung on to the ropes of the donkey very tight. Joseph walked beside the donkey. When the donkey needed to rest, he helped Mary off. At last, Joseph said, "Mary, be of good spirits. We are close. See those lights? When we get close to those lights, we will be at Bethlehem." The lights were on because it was getting dark. Now Joseph is tired, and the donkey too. They are in Bethlehem. Joseph tries to find somewhere to spend the night, but he cannot find a place.
Joseph leaves the barn doors open just a little so that some of the starlight can come in. Now they see better. First Joseph and Mary pick up hay from the ground. Joseph knocked on one door, then another, but the people all said no. They were too full of people. Joseph said, "Don't worry, Mary. I know we'll find a place." He knocked on one more door. He thought this place would be full of people too, but he was going to try anyway. A man came to the door. He was big.
Who's there? Joseph. What do you want?
My wife is having a baby. We need a place to stay right now. Please, we haven't found a place yet. Can you let us stay with you?
We don't have enough room in the house.
He looks at Mary. Then the innkeeper hurries around the house. Joseph started to go to another place, but the innkeeper kept running back.
My barn is empty out back. It is a little bit cold, but there is room in it for you. You can stay there if you would like.
The stable is like a little wooden hut. It's close to the house. All of the farmer's animals live in it. Joseph didn't have a stable because he wasn't a farmer, but he knew all about stables. Joseph leaves the barn doors open just a little so that some of the starlight can come in. Now they can see better. First, Joseph and Mary pick up hay from the ground. Joseph makes a soft place for Mary to lie down. He helps her walk over to the bed to rest. "Oh," Mary says, "this feels so good." At the very minute, stars came everywhere. The baby was born. The entire stable was sprinkled with stars. Now the whole barn is bright like fireworks. The sheep and the cows, the horses and the donkeys, the roosters, the chickens, and the lambs all ran and jumped about. And they smiled at each other. They liked the new baby because he was born in the stable where they got their food. Joseph put his arms around Mary and hugged her. They leaned down close and smiled at the newly born child. "He's our baby Jesus," Mary said. "I like this name." Joseph said, "The king's son is named Jesus." Jesus was very small. Mary and Joseph loved him. They were proud because he was God's son. They made him a cradle out of wood and picked up hay to make the baby fall asleep comfortably. Now it's little hay bed for baby Jesus. At first, Jesus felt good and warm and happy because he was in a bed of soft straw. But in a minute, he starts to cry. Mary didn't pick him up fast enough, so he cried harder. The animals came near. They wondered what happened. This was something new they'd never heard before. The sheep came to see Jesus. Bah, they said, and baby Jesus stopped crying. He goes around to sleep. That's because when the sheep are going bah, they are singing a lullaby to Jesus. That night, the shepherds were looking after their sheep. They started it in case the wolf would come out of the woods. Sometimes the wolf would chase the shepherds away so that he can eat the sheep. This night, the shepherds chased the wolf away. Suddenly angels came, maybe 60 of them. They had large, beautiful wings and ring halos over their heads. They were dressed in beautiful white robes that were very shiny. They were singing in the dark sky.
Baby Jesus has been born. He is in the manger bed.
The shepherds were shocked and surprised. They said to the angels, "We want to see baby Jesus." But the angels just kept singing.
Baby Jesus has been born. He is in the manger bed.
Then the shepherds said to each other, "Let's go. If the king is really born, we must go see him." They were so excited. They brushed their feet, they put on their sandals, they called their sheep, and many of their sheep followed the shepherds to see the baby King Jesus. They hurried to the stable, but sheep don't hurry. Their legs are short, so they walk slowly. So sometimes the shepherds had to wait for them.
When they came to the stable and the manger bed, they saw the animals around the baby King Jesus. The sheep think Jesus is asleep, so they try to be very quiet. The shepherds walked through the sheep so that they could see baby King Jesus. He had just a little bit of hair, and his eyes were looking up to anyone looking down on him. He had just a small little smile on his face. You could tell that he was happy. When the shepherds saw him, they went to their knees. They prayed to God, "Thank you, God." It was dark, dark night, but lots of stars were shining, as was the moon. It was round and orange and bright.
That night, 3 wise men saw a huge star. It was so big that it covered all of the sky. It was very, very bright, and it was right smack in the middle of the sky. It was sparkling like glitter, and it was twinkling just like a diamond. It was a wishing star, wishing for baby King Jesus, and it came right to those wise men. That was good because now they know that Jesus was born. And it was good because if they didn't have the star, they wouldn't know how to find Jesus. And they would have to find the baby king to love him. So they climbed up on their camels between the bumps. Camels walk softly, and slowly. The star kept moving in the sky and kept following it. It went straight to Jesus.
The wise men went straight to the baby King Jesus, just like the shepherds did. They felt very happy. Now they have a king. He is a baby king, but a very holy king. So they gave very special presents to Jesus. They gave him a box of gold and a beautiful jar that looked like gold, but it had good-smelling perfume in it. They rested on their knees and they watched Jesus. One wise man asked Mary, "Can I hold him?" But he didn't because Jesus was too special. Another wise man started to pat Jesus, but he didn't because Jesus was too tiny. Baby Jesus watched them and he smiled. The wise men loved Jesus so much that they didn't want to leave.
And neither do we, children, want to leave because he is a very tiny miracle. God has come to earth.
As we look into the eyes of the baby King Jesus and think about this miracle, we too find it hard to leave his side. If you had been at the manger the first Christmas night, what would you have done? And you?
I'd sing a song to God. Joy to the world, the Lord has come.
What about you?
I pray God for that this baby had been born. I was said to be his father. Take good care of him. Amen.
And what would you have done?
I would light a candle so that I could see his face clearly, and I would take that light out into the world, to work, to church, everywhere. Let's do it together.